Hello and welcome to Valley Viewpoint. Exciting things are happening in the Blue Mountain region, and here with me today to talk about some of the things that are going on is Carrie Isaacson of the Blue Mountain Community Foundation. Carrie, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Good to have you with us. Now, tell us a little bit about the history of the foundation, how it got started, why it's here, what it's doing.
Well, the Community Foundation began in 1984, and there were 36 people, community leaders, including Mary Lou Tilley, who got together to learn about what is a community foundation and why don't we have one here and should we have one here. And the group said, yes, we should have one here. And what it is kind of a neutral nonprofit that seeks out gifts, holds and invests them with a horizon that's in perpetuity, which means part of our mission is to be here forever for the good of the community. So 1984, they didn't know what kind of issues and challenges and opportunities we'd have this year, but they had the foresight to plant seeds and grow this fund. So we started with nothing, and we just passed $50 million in assets at the end of January, which for a community of our size is pretty darn good.
So we're talking 33 years, 0 to 50 million.
That's right.
Incredible.
And we give away right now about $2 million a year in grants and scholarships. And we have a whole array of flexible funds and services, both to donors and to nonprofits.
So that our audience is clear, tell us the difference between the grants and scholarships that you work with.
Well, the grants are charitable payments or distributions that we make every year to nonprofit organizations. And we have a lot of funds that we call designated. That is, a generous donor said, I want to support Walla Walla University in perpetuity. And they give us a significant gift. We invest it and hold it, and every year send a check to Walla Walla University or whatever nonprofit or charity they pick. Sometimes it's a church. We have many gifts go to churches. And the nonprofit doesn't have to ask or write a proposal. They get a check from us every single year out of that fund. So that's one kind of a charitable distribution or grant. A scholarship goes to a college, again, Walla Walla University, goes to a college or Washington State or wherever the student is going through a competitive process. And so our committee says, well, this student is eligible, it is worthy, very promising. We're going to invest in this young person's future. And so that scholarship is then paid from us directly to the college on behalf of that student for their education.
So, for our viewers who are younger, in high school right now, and thinking about their future and how to fund their college education, what kind of things are looked for when granting scholarships? What kind of student are you looking for? What kind of person are you looking for?
Looking for somebody, it really varies because we have 70 scholarships and they're all slightly different. Some of them are based only on financial need. Very generous people have set up funds here and say for students who are poor or from disadvantaged families. We're looking for students who are, have some drive, see a future for themselves, believe in themselves, and also are articulate. And very often, people want to know what personal challenges has a young person overcome. And that's where kids can shine and talk about how they've helped their families or their communities or how they themselves have adjusted to maybe a disability of some kind or to a personal challenge and how they've overcome that. We'll also look for young people that want to help other people and see their work as a vocation and how they can do that. So it's, and then of course we're looking for students with a fairly basic educational achievement, can write an essay, doesn't have to be long, but can be fairly articulate about what they want to do.
So, what you said suggests to me that grades aren't everything, but are they something? Do you look at test scores? Is that a part of the equation? Or how do the academics play in?
We're a little different. So we do have scholarships that are only for academic all-stars. We have a few.
Mm-hmm.
We have at least half, maybe 60% of our scholarships are based on need only.
Mm-hmm.
Others can be a combination. We don't ask for test scores. We do ask for transcripts, and we don't require a FAFSA. And that is the application that all college applicants, you know, that want financial aid, want to borrow or get a grant, a government grant of some kind, fill out. We don't require that. We don't require it because you have to have a Social Security number in order to get a FAFSA, apply for a FAFSA. And we have students that don't have Social Security numbers. And so we use a certain EFC number off. It's kind of complicated. That's on our website. So we urge young people, they're all going to complete a FAFSA. That's just part of college applications these days. But take the estimated family contribution, and that's the one number off that application that will be applicable to us. And that is, our staff can help answer any questions. They're available from 9 to 5. That number is 509-529-4371. And it's also on our website. And that is bluemountainfoundation.org, all spelled out, bluemountainfoundation.org.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the website. So tell us what kind of information our audience can access on the website.
The website was just redesigned and relaunched thanks to Coffee Communications, who did it as a volunteer in-kind contribution to us. We're deeply grateful for that. It's beautiful. It's also has tons of information. So we are a transparent organization. You will find our audit there, our Form 990, which is the tax return that all nonprofits file every year, our board list, staff, contact information, a list of everyone who gave us a donation during that year, a list of all of our funds, our deadlines, and then our fee schedule and our policies.
So, what are the important deadlines to remember? You mentioned that there are grants, you mentioned that there are scholarships. Mm-hmm. What are the important deadlines for our viewers to remember with regard to those two?
Well, there's only two. The first one is coming up, and that's March 5th, midnight March 5th, 2018. And that's to apply for a scholarship from the Community Foundation. It's all online. It has to be done through the website. And we tell applicants, hey, we have a deal for you. Just complete this one application and you will be considered by 70 different scholarship funds, because it's a lot of work to put together a scholarship application. And college is very expensive these days, and our young people are drowning in debt in order to finish their education. So they're busy writing a lot of applications to a lot of places for scholarships that are quite modest. And so if they came to us, at least with this one very simple application, they will be considered by up to 70 funds. And each year we give away $400,000 in scholarships. So it's not nothing.
Right.
And it is competitive, but it's an opportunity.
Well, let's talk about limitations. Are there limitations that the student should be aware of? Does it matter where they plan to attend school, and does it matter where they live?
It matters where they live, because only students who live in Garfield, Columbia, Walla Walla, or Umatilla counties are eligible to apply. But they can go anywhere. And as long as it's a nonprofit organization. But the key thing is, and this is new this year, is that they have to have applied to college before they apply to us for a scholarship.
Must they have been accepted prior?
No, and they won't know usually because March 5th is kind of early in the process. But I'd like to circle back, if you don't mind. You'd asked me about two deadlines or deadlines. Yes. Well, the other one is July 1st, and that's for a grant. And I wish our pot of discretionary grant dollars was bigger. It's less right now than $300,000 a year out of that $2 million that we give away. But it's all online. Again, it's a simple application, and we'll make grants of up to $50,000. Most of them are much smaller, but that's an opportunity for nonprofits and charities in our community, as well as public agencies like, say, a school district, a conservation district, recreation, so forth.
So you mentioned some of the potential recipients. You mentioned school district, conservation district. What is the scope of the recipients? In other words, some people probably don't qualify, and it's probably a waste of your time or the foundation's time to have to review a lot of applications that aren't going to go anywhere. Give us a little bit of information on the scope of who may apply.
Any qualified nonprofit or charitable organization, which means it's a 501c3. As long as a group is a 501c3 organization, that's the bottom line.
Now, I know that there are some foundations that have that stipulation, but also don't want to become involved with religious organizations. Is that also the case with your foundation?
We give to faith-based and religious organizations, and we do it all the time. What we don't do is support religious organizations or membership organizations that primarily serve their own members. That's a different kind of a wonderful group. A service group such as Rotary, we would not support. Chamber of Commerce, it's a 501c6. It's a different kind of a nonprofit. So as long as the nonprofit is serving the greater community, and anybody could use their services. I mean, I think of Sunbridge in SOS, and the Salvation Army and others. Those are very strong organizations that serve anybody that needs help. But if it's for an organization that's going to be very inward looking and only serve their members, unfortunately we don't do that.
Okay. Well, we want to learn more about what the foundation has to offer and how it participates in the community. So don't go away. We'll be right back for the second half of Valley Viewpoint. Hello and welcome back to Valley Viewpoint. If you are just joining us, my guest today is Carrie Isaacson, the Executive Director of the Blue Mountain Community Foundation. So, Carrie, we were talking about the grants and the scholarships that are being distributed through the foundation. Another question that I have regards, are there any age limitations for applying?
No.
So you don't
have to at least be a high school graduate.
Okay, so you don't have any limitations. Some foundations I know, or some scholarships are limited to, after age 24, don't bother us, or just a traditional, what we call the traditional college student. But yours is broader.
It is, and we have some scholarships that are specifically for older people whose education was interrupted, especially women. And again, I wish the dollars were larger, but we do have some, so we encourage anybody to take a look at our application and submit. We also make grants for any kind of a post-high school education or training. We have a fund for EMT training. We have which surprisingly is not used every single year because we don't get an applicant for it. We'll support community college training programs. We've supported a nonprofit training for truck driving. You know, and that's something that you can do through the community college here too. Becoming a beautician. It's investing in primarily young people, but not just young people, but investing in people so that they have a more fulfilled and productive life.
Now, you must be passionate about this.
Yes.
You've been doing this for many years.
Many years.
We're not, well.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, say it.
Let me back off that.
35 years.
I wasn't going to ask that question. Why do you enjoy what you're doing? Why do you do it?
Well, it's helping people, and it's always been a passion of mine. And you get to know people so well. And the other thing is, I get to see people at their best. They come in and they want to help other people. And what could be better than that? I get to help people help people.
Let's talk about how you help them. Let's say that we have a viewer that's listening, and they're saying, you know, I'd really like to give back to my community. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'd like to sponsor a scholarship. Mm-hmm. Maybe we have a chemist that wants to help someone that wants to go into chemistry, or mm-hmm. we have someone that has a specific interest. Can you help them help others, yes. potential students?
Yes, and in fact, our tagline is serving donors and strengthening communities. And so we are available to work with donors of any kind and for any charitable purpose. And what the Community Foundation offers, if you think of it in a business sense, it's a little bit like products. Our funds we have, the types of funds we have, are a little bit like accounts in products. So for instance, we have donor-advised funds. And that is a way where donors can make a large initial gift to us, or a single gift, and then tell us over time, when it's convenient for them, where that money should go. So for instance, our minimum account or fund is $10,000. And that will endow it if the donor wishes, which means it'll exist forever. But for $10,000, someone can open a donor advised fund, and if they're making a charitable deduction of their income taxes, and of course things have changed with the change in the tax law at the end of the 2017. But that's all charitable. They get that in the year in which the gift is made, and then they can tell us over time. And it can take years to do it, but a little bit at a time or all at once. They can say, hey, Blue Mountain, I would like my church, my university, this soup kitchen to receive a gift of $100, $1,000, you know, whatever they wish. And as long as it's a qualified nonprofit or charity, we are 99.9% sure we are going to make that distribution. And that's a service we offer. And it's not unique to us, but it's pretty unique to community foundations, because when one makes a gift to, let's say, my alma mater, which is Pacific Lutheran University. So if I give money to PLU, it's going to stay at PLU. Well, that's what I intend, and obviously that's what how they're going to use it. But if people make a gift to us, it can go and benefit one charity or 30 charities. And we have a lot of different flexible ways of doing that. And scholarships is another kind of a fund. Donors can set up a scholarship fund with us, again, $10,000, and can endow it, name it for a loved one, and the name of that fund will exist for a very long time.
So let's talk about the nuts and bolts of how this gets done. Do donors usually just go online and arrange these things? Do they come and visit with you or with your staff in order to set things up? What's the first step?
They should come and see us. They should call us.
And you are located?
Right in Walla Walla, downtown Walla Walla. And there's 4 of us on staff. And we would love to talk to somebody, you know, anybody. It's confidentially. There's no commitment. It's come in and find out about what we can do together. And I'm very interested in hearing about what people's hopes and dreams are for their charity, for their philanthropy. And if someone is thinking about including us in their will, we'd like to talk to them too, because to make sure that we understand what they want done. Because we'll get bequests and we'll just have really basic information, and it would be helpful to know more about what the donor is thinking of. But yes, to call us, and then to set up a fund, one needs, we have a form, it's a fund agreement, and that spells out how that fund is going to be administered by us, so that in the future generations of board members and staff at the Community Foundation know exactly what that donor wants and what they meant. And then, of course, the funds to set up the account. And people can make gifts to us of real estate, they can make gifts to us of securities, stocks and bonds, to fund their goals.
Now, even though you primarily serve the 4 counties that you mentioned earlier, your services have extended beyond just those 4 counties, if I understand correctly.
Yes, and most community foundations are tied to a geographic area like we are. There's at least 16 community foundations in the state of Washington. In Oregon, they primarily have one large one, the Oregon Community Foundation in Portland. It serves the entire state. It's a wonderful, gigantic community foundation. But here, if the donors are here, we'll make gifts and distribute grants anywhere in the country. I have scholarship funds that benefit a little town in Missouri because that's where the donor came from. And we're real happy to do that. And recently, we were fortunate to be selected by the Prosser Scholarship Fund, which is outside of our area, for their scholarships. They had received some generous estates. It's an all-volunteer organization, and they looked around and thought where would be the best home for this money, and they picked us. And so we have the permanent Prosser Scholarship Funds. There's 4 of them, and right now they're almost $7 million, and it provides scholarships for Prosser High School graduates.
So even though Benton County is not one of your primarily served areas, you are willing to take that on, and in our viewership, we extend through many other counties in Washington. Would they have the same privilege?
They could, absolutely. And they should also look if they have a local community foundation that might be a good fit too, because we have colleagues all over the state that are just excellent. And if one wanted to search, you know, they're welcome to call me and my staff, and we can help them find a community foundation elsewhere too, if that's convenient for them. Or just Google community foundation and then your hometown or your county, and I'm sure something will pop up. But here in southeastern Washington, northeastern Oregon, we have Blue Mountain Community Foundation, and we're happy to work with donors wherever they are on behalf of our community primarily, but also their own if they'd like us to.
So you serve the donors and you serve the community at large, and the donors who want to make a difference in their communities can do so by contacting you. Why don't you give us that phone number once again, and also, if you will, the street address for your offices.
Oh, sure. The phone number is 509-529-4371. And we're located on the corner of East Poplar and First in Walla Walla. And that address is 22 East Poplar. And we're on the 2nd floor. It's known locally as the Windermere Building. And we get people that drop by. People are welcome to drop by.
Do you have regular hours, or must there be an individual appointment in order to visit
Well,
with you?
9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I'm in and out of the office, so it's better to make an appointment. But there'll be somebody there, 9 to 5.
Okay. Any final words for our audience about the Blue Mountain Community Foundation?
We just live in the most wonderful area that I've ever been, and the people are generous and amazing. And everyone's story is fascinating. And if someone would like to leave a legacy, I hope they would contact us. I'd like to meet them, and I'd like to work with them to fulfill their charitable goals.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you much.
And we would like to invite you to contribute your ideas to future viewpoints. If you have an idea, a concept, maybe someone that you would like to see featured on our program, why not contact us? Our number is 529-9149. Of course, that's area code 509. Or you can simply write to us at valleyviewpoint@bmt.tv. So, for today's Viewpoint, I'm Dan Solis.